Well, thank you so much, Mandy Morville, for being on Next to None podcast. We're really excited to hear from you. And, you and I had a one-to-one, and you just had so much insight and wisdom into what you do. So tell us a little bit about yourself and then tell us about your business.
Absolutely. So, my name is Mandy and I own Essential Marketing Group. I help small businesses with social media, websites, branding, and email marketing. And yeah, we love to help small businesses find affordable marketing with no contracts. That's our big thing because it's it's hard to as a small business, keep your budget workable for everything that you want to do. And
Yes,
we want to make sure that they always feel like they're spending the right money on what they need to be doing at the time. So we've been
that's
in
awesome.
for about 3.5 years and with a team of three. And yeah, like I said, we just love working with local small businesses.
But you had something really big happen recently.
Yes, yes, I got married. Um,
Yay.
maybe 3 weeks ago now, almost a month. And it's really great to kind of be back to normal because planning a wedding and while owning a business is hard. I think that planning a wedding, even if you don't have a job, is probably really hard. Um, but it was a lot of balls in the air. So it's good to be back and catching up and feeling like I just have the one job now.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again. It's an exciting start to a journey, right?
Yes, it
And
is.
your husband is a super nice guy. I am in another networking group with him, and he's just a very nice man.
Yeah, he's
So,
a good one. I found a good one for sure.
what are some challenges and successes that you faced in your business?
So the biggest challenges have been that I didn't know how to own a business, right? I wanted to do marketing with small businesses. And so the biggest challenge is just that every single day there is something that I've never done before. And then you get advice from other business owners, you use the Google machine and figure it out. And so that's been a huge challenge, but also huge wins, right? You learn something new every day and you do something that you weren't trained to do, but that ultimately works out with a great community of people helping and of course, the internet. So that's been huge. Um, I mentioned earlier about having no contracts. One of the biggest challenges when I started my business was that so many people had been um let down, we'll say, by a marketing firm of some sort, whether they
Mm,
had to pay $20,000 to get out of their contract where no marketing was happening, or they had someone who just passed them off after they sold them and then they passed them to the next person and the next person and the next person and they never even knew who their marketer was. And so I start meeting with these people early on and some people would bring somebody with them because they were
mm.
like, I need somebody else to help me decide if this person could do my marketing. So that was a huge challenge that I did not see coming. Like I was pleasantly surprised by how many people trusted me, not seeing my work in the past, but the amount of people who are so gun shy was um alarming. I'm like, how does this happen to everybody? you know?
Yeah.
So it's been great to give them a good experience, but without the
Yeah.
tracks that could make them feel uncomfortable about if I don't end up liking the person who you have do my social media, or
Mm.
if I don't see the value anymore, that I can just go. And so that was a big surprise and challenge, but something we've totally overcome.
I just was recently talking to a business owner that I passed on your information to, and that he was in that exact situation. He had paid a lot of money for a website and all these other things, and then he didn't love it. He stuck with it throughout his contract, and when the contract was over and he didn't want to use it anymore, he had no website.
No, it's just
Um, yeah, it was just, and he's like, man, I don't know how I feel about hiring somebody. I was like, you need someone.
Yeah, you have to have a website, right? And so that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I give to people. What do you say to new business owners starting their business? Own your website.
Hmm. The
Don't
other
write
thing I
your
would
website.
say is trust, meet one to one with someone before you refer them, and then
Hmm.
make sure that you can trust that person to deliver things well instead of
Hmm.
it being just, there's just some businesses out there just in it for the money.
Yeah.
It's transactional for them.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate, but it just is
Yeah. I mean,
reality.
it's business, right? I I really believe that yeah, you need to know the people that you're working with, or you need to at least have known a couple people who have worked with them. If you're going to spend, I mean, especially for a website, that is
Hmm.
an investment in your
Yeah.
business. So you definitely need to know what you're getting. And at the end of the day, even if you don't love who you're working with, you're still walking away with your website, you
Yeah.
know? Very,
Why do you
very.
think marketing is so scary for people?
Hmm. I think that because it's just so foreign, right, to a lot of people. You are a dance teacher and you know how to teach people how to dance, right? You didn't go
Hmm.
to school to learn marketing. And since marketing is so encompassing, I mean, it's not just marketing isn't social media, it's like everything that you do to brand and build your business. Um, it feels daunting, right? Um, that's why I like to do a lot of classes because you need to just learn little tiny bits at a time so that they're bite sized and you can start to wrap your head around one thing at a time. But marketing in general, scary. And it can be expensive too. I think that
Oh,
that
yeah.
that can scare people away. They're like, I guess I'm just not going to do it.
Which
That's too
was
much.
that actually ties into my next question. What do you say to the business owner that says, I don't need to do marketing?
So let's say I did not own a marketing company in any capacity, I would still tell somebody you have to have marketing in some capacity, right? At least getting your brand out there, maybe not full on, $100,000 a year marketing, but you have to have something going on because like I am busy right now. I'm very busy right now. Okay. But in January, I'm not going to be as busy. If I don't network right now, if I don't get out there and on my social medias and doing all of the marketing right now, it kind of it's 3 to 6 months out, right? So if I stop marketing this second, it's going to start to dry up in about 6 months. It has to be a continuous thing. And it's kind of like um, you have to spend money to make money. That's
Hmm.
a pretty common phrase. You have to stay on your marketing to stay busy, and people don't want to spend the money when they're making a bunch of money. They're like, we want to keep all this money, but you have to stay on top of it. Uh, if you don't spend on marketing, you won't ever be ahead, I guess we'll say.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna dumb things down a little bit in a way. So you've got younger entrepreneurs that are like in the space of TikTok and all these different things. And when building a brand, what do businesses need to focus on?
Well, they need to focus on who their ideal client customer is first, and they need to figure out what their brand is, right? And a brand is a lot of things. It's a look, it's a feel, it's a sound. At Hollister in the mall, it's a smell. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things that go into a brand. So you have to figure out exactly what that brand is and stay within it, right? Put it out there in every possible way you can on TikTok, on all social medias, um, at community events, at you know what I mean? Like people go in parades to show off their brand, right? Support the local baseball team. You just have to figure out how to splash your brand everywhere after you've figured out what it is and got it looking good, sounding good, and focused on your exact customer slash client, and then just put it out there everywhere.
Yeah, it's really good. Thank you for sharing that. When you think of your business and you think back and when you started, what do you feel like was the best piece of advice someone gave you?
Hmm. Networking. I didn't network in my past life. I didn't need to. All my clients came to me from within my company, and someone was like, you need to get out there and start networking. I had this big marketing plan, right? I already had the plan all written out. I knew exactly what I was going to do to build my business. And someone was like, you need to go to a marketing or a networking meeting um, and check it out, right? And then people started inviting me to more, but networking has built 90% of my business. And
Hmm.
I didn't have any plans to do that at all, right? I no plans. And that was a game changer, right? And people always they're like, okay, what would you do with my marketing? And I'm like, I would go to networking. I would start there and then let's jump in after you've built some relationships and started to get out there in front of people
Yeah.
because they're like, well, but besides that, I'm like, no, just focus on that for like a while. Because it was the best advice that I got because
Yeah.
it made all the difference to meet the people who might be clients at some point, but mostly people who will send who become those referral partners.
Hmm.
And it's been amazing. Best
Yeah.
advice.
I know for me, any clients or people that I encounter that are looking to take their, social media game or their marketing game up to the next level, I'm like, okay, you need to contact Mandy Morville.
I love that.
Well, there's just I haven't actually ran into a whole lot of people that do exactly what you do. I've met up with marketing consultants and that sort of thing, but like people that are willing to, get down into the details of things. And you don't do it all yourself. So tell us a little bit about your team.
Yeah, so for the first 2 years, I did it all myself. And then I hired a designer. She does all the websites, she does all of the brand design, she does email marketing. She does a little bit of social media that she brought in with her. Um, but mostly she focuses on design and anything that we need to design. And then I have a social media manager, and she focuses on all of our social media management clients, and just does social media all day, every day. So, and I mostly just build the business at this point. I still have a few clients of my own, but for the most part, I just get out there and market our business now, which is really great.
So if you were going to sit down with a business owner today and you were going to say, hey, these were the three things that you absolutely 100% have to do in marketing, what would they be?
Networking, social
Hmm.
media, and then it would depend on what kind of business they are, because some businesses would do really well with email marketing, let's say. Some businesses would do better with some form of, I, I don't want to say mailers or, but like print marketing in some capacity. Me and Dan talk a lot about guerrilla marketing. Um, he loves guerrilla marketing, I think, mostly because of what it's called. But it's different, different kinds of marketing aren't one size fits all. His business is a contracting business. Guerrilla marketing does not work for him because um, everybody doesn't need what he has, right? But if I'm talking to a restaurant, right, everybody needs that.
Hmm.
And so guerrilla marketing works a lot better for someone like that, right? So the third thing outside of social media, which is where everybody is now, everybody in some form, and then networking are always standard, but the third one can kind of be traded out
Sure.
depending on what kind of business, service, or product or whatever.
Yeah, no, I love that. I tell my clients, when I'm meeting with them, like, I'm not going to give you just a program. It's going to be tailored because every business is different and every business owner runs a business differently. So it's similar to what you're saying, like in that same context, like it's not a one size fits all type of
Yeah,
thing.
not at all.
I love
Not at
that.
all. Mhm.
I love that. So, okay, tell me. when you started your business, who was one person that really like you were just like, okay, they're really doing things well and you learned from them?
Hmm. That's really hard because the second I started networking, I'm like, oh my gosh, in 2 years, I want to be running my business as well as them, right? You see them
Mhm.
just they have so much business, they don't even know what to do with it. But specifically, I really quickly met a man named Mike Bitter. Have you ever met Mike Bitter?
I don't know, the name sounds really familiar.
A business coach, and he helps people specifically with CRMs to grow their business and to scale their businesses. And he took me under his wing real fast and became a mentor very quickly. He was the first person in business that I really connected with. Everybody else had just been from my past life who was really pushing me ahead and
Mhm.
helping me through everything. But he became a mentor really quickly. But his story is incredible. Did a he worked in software and made some software that he sold for millions of dollars. You know what I mean? Like he had built something from absolute scratch all the way to let's sell this and then figure out what we want to do next kind of situation. But he had what I wanted. He could pick the amount of clients that he wanted. He could pick exactly who they were because they aligned with his values, with his,
Mm.
how much time he wanted to spend working. Yeah, and I was just like, that's what I want. I want to get past the point where I have to take every client that comes in, regardless if I believe in their way of business or,
Yeah.
we mesh, but I still need to take their business. And I loved how he could be picky and choosy, and just do the things that he was really passionate about, the projects that he was really passionate about with people who were great people. And,
Yeah.
I just love that. And on top of it, on top of just him being great in general, um, he really helped me learn a lot of those things when I told you about the challenges at first of like, okay, I don't know how to you know, charge vendors. I don't know how to, like, I don't know how to do my accounting. I don't know all of those things. And he held my hand through so much of that you know, just as a partner, which was great.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it's
amazing.
super easy to feel like you're on an island alone when you start your business. And that's why I started networking when I started
Mhm.
my business because I knew like I am isolated and I feel like I'm on an island alone and I need other people because you can learn from other people
Oh my
by
gosh.
watching them or
Every
talking
day.
to them. Like
Mhm.
it's just, yeah, I love, 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 love that.
Yep.
Um, Okay, so we kind of talked about this a little bit, but if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you're wanting to start a business, what is the advice that you give that person outside of the networking thing?
Um, don't wait until you're all the way ready. I
Mm,
I like I said, I am a perfectionist, so I wanted to know everything that I needed to know before I started my business. And you don't have to know every single thing before you start. So I would tell them just to jump in. Obviously have a plan, like try and figure out as much as you can, but then jump in, right? And then the second thing I would tell them is as soon as you're starting to feel overwhelmed, even if you don't feel like you can afford it yet, hire an assistant
mm,
because seriously, that's when things changed for me because I wasn't making enough to hire an assistant. But I only needed someone like 10 hours a week, and then I found out I could really afford that. But they took so much pressure off where I was able to get my head out from underwater. And I would have waited probably 6 more months, I would say. So don't do it alone if you can possibly avoid that because it's lonely. You're like, I used to have this team at work and there was always people and
yeah.
now me, and so you could maybe not want to do it anymore if you're in it alone and you feel like you're drowning all the time. But
Mhm.
um, hiring an assistant made all the difference for me. And that was good advice that I was given to just
Yeah.
bite the bullet, do it. It's worth it because you'll feel immediate relief.
When you think about your business and where it is and where you want it to grow, what are you doing to start planning for that growth?
So I think that, and I was just talking to someone about this today. We have um we have been planning, or we've been growing, I guess, since my team came together. Um, and now I feel like that is not on autopilot. Like I still need to be bringing in more business, but it's been really fun with my team to say, where else do we want to go? Like what's the next thing that doesn't even have to do with this? Like it doesn't even have to be specifically for this business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have talked about a lot of things, right? Courses and, just different ways to go. And then also like way out of the way. And I think that the biggest thing is that we just write down, we have brainstorming sessions, and then we just write down all of those goals and figure out which ones specifically I am the most passionate about so that I can go after them. But it's it's really cool and freeing not to be in a box, right? When you own a business, you can be like, I don't know that I'll start something completely separate for quite some time, but
Mm-hmm.
we could go off in a whole different direction, while still making this work. Something specific within the business that I want to see grow is I want to start meeting a lot of the same, like our team is almost maxed out on what we can handle work wise. And I'm nervous to hire another person because I want to make sure that they have enough work and that they can work with us
Mm-hmm.
full time. But I'm thinking that the next way that I go is to say, let's hire another social media manager and let's let them focus 100% on authors. All right,
Mm.
100% on realtors. So they have kind of a lane that they stay in with
Yeah.
social media, because between me and my social media manager, we love working with all different kinds of businesses because it's fun. Like it's creative all day. You're like, ooh, this is a fun one for the realtors, or this is a fun one for a pest control company, or this is a fun one for a driveway company. But it also is really time consuming and it makes your head spin a
Mm.
little bit whenever you're going in so many different directions. So
Yeah.
I think that I could hire people who really stay in that one lane of they just focus on, like I said, authors, social media, and they're like, I am going to find the very best strategies and help with their specific personality of this author do the best content for them. And then with all the research I've done, we'll pull up, and with this author, we'll help them.
Yeah, I
So
love that.
that might be our next growth strategy within the team to bring more people on.
Yeah, that's so cool because authors like they're writers, but writing a book and translating it then into like marketing for your email or your social media, it's just not the same thing.
Yeah. But I mean, how many authors do you follow on social media, right? Some of them have incredible, like you're just drawn in by their social
Mm-hmm.
media. And that was just an example. But it's like if we could just only research other and find the very best content ideas for one specific industry and just run with that, they will
Mm-hmm.
get much better service than and much better results, I would say, than us having so many different kinds of, I'm not ready to completely niche into just one industry, but we could grow in a way where we just hire someone who only focuses on, because they have already have that experience with that
Mm-hmm.
industry kind of thing.
That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that idea. Will you tell us about your classes that you do and
I
why
would
did you
love.
start doing them?
Yeah, so I started doing the classes because that was one of my favorite parts of my job as a marketing coach, was to train people, to teach them things. And I didn't realize that that was missing when I started my business. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, nobody needs me for, I mean, my clients need me, but nobody like needs me to teach them anything, you know? And then I was brainstorming with a what I call my board of directors. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to have classes, because also having classes is an excellent marketing strategy for
Mm-hmm.
a coach of any sort, and or anyone who's service based, right? Because you can teach people how to do stuff, and some of them are going to go and use everything that you taught them and go do it themselves. And then some people are going to be like, yeah, I still don't want to do that, and then they hire you or hire somebody else. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I think that it it kind of filled that part of my cup that I needed filled again. And it was an excellent marketing strategy because we get plenty of new clients from people who are like, I hear you. I think it's great, but it's not for me. I won't be doing any of that
Yeah.
myself, But I love doing classes around social media. I love doing classes to teach people Canva. Anything that it's not to say that I don't want business from small business owners who want us to do their social media or us to design their marketing materials, because we will do
Mm-hmm.
all of that. But I also know that I run a small business and there's only a few things that I have the budget to pay for, like accounting. I'm never going to learn how to do accounting. That does not interest me in the least bit. I'll pay somebody to do that. But if someone can teach me how to do something that's a little more interesting to me that I can do myself, I have time to do myself, then
Mm-hmm.
I get over it, all over it. So I think that with the social media, we have a social media for beginners class that shows you how to start from scratch. Like, here's what you don't know about social media. Here's how to make a strategy. Here's what works, kind
Yeah.
of deal. We have a Reel/TikTok class that helps if you're already dug into social media, but you just really want to get into video. We teach how to do that beginning to end. Um, and we have a Canva class, Canva for beginners, Canva advanced level you're at. We love to teach people about Canva because, again, if you can design your own things, if you can design excellent graphics to put on social media, or slide decks, or even a Canva website, they're really landing pages, but there's so much that you can do to brand your business on Canva, and they make it so easy for anybody to do. Literally, almost anybody who can work a computer can design on Canva, and that is powerful because those things can get expensive if you have to pay people to do them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Canva's my best friend.
hmm Yeah. I encourage everybody who has the time, right? Like, if you need to be working in your business and you don't have time to do it, that's fine. But if you have the time, you can learn how to do it with all those
Mm-hmm.
templates. I mean, like, you don't have to build anything from scratch. You can build things where you just trade out the words and the pictures and you're good to go.
Yeah.
So we love to teach people that as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a quick question for you.
Okay.
Sales pitches during marketing or networking, sorry.
Uh-huh.
Uh, what is your advice from a marketing standpoint on your sales pitch?
All right. So my advice is to speak through the room, not to the room. All right. We don't want to try and sell a single person sitting in that room with you. All right. It immediately can give people the ick. They're like, I don't need what you're selling, right? But we want to sell through them by saying, hi, I do this. If you know anybody who is specifically looking to learn how to help TikTok build their brand, right? Send them my way, right? Because then they're thinking about, who do I know that might need that, and it's getting kind of stuck in their brain.
Mhm.
The other thing is to tell a story. All right. If you can tell a story, or so let's say I do social media, email marketing, branding, websites. All right. I do say that every time. And then I focus in on one thing that I do. Because there are people who I have networked with for 3 years. And I just found out at like a recent networking meeting that they sell this, or what they sell helps this specific thing, or that and now I am looking for, so specifically there's somebody who they helped someone, their supplements helped somebody who had shingles. Have you ever had
Mm,
shingles?
yeah,
Apparently it's terrible,
it
right?
is.
And it doesn't go away very fast, and it's just terrible, right? So Now, so she told a story about how someone took a whole bottle of the of her supplement within 24 hours, and their shingles were definitely not hurting anymore and almost gone within 24 hours, which is
Wow,
unheard
that's
of,
amazing.
right? So before, I didn't really know who to recommend her to, right? I didn't know who to refer her to. And then she starts talking about shingles, and I'm like, every single time that someone tells me that they have shingles, they're going to you 100% of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she told the story. She got really specific on who she helped instead of we help people be healthier, we help them, build their immune systems. I
Yeah.
rarely talk to someone who says, I need to build my immune system, but I'm more likely to have someone be like, I have this very specific thing wrong with me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, she's your girl. I'm sending her right over. So I recommend telling a story. Um, Tell them exactly who you're looking for and exactly who you help, but just one thing at each networking meeting during your little 45 seconds, because people will remember that more than if you just stand up and say, I help small businesses with social media, websites, branding, and email marketing, right? They're like, yeah, sit down, next person, right? It's just a lot of information. So tell a
I
story.
love that. Today,
Mhm.
I'm the president of our BNI, a BNI group that I'm a part of. And today, after we did all of the sales pitch moments, I said, how many of you in here thought of someone when they talked about what referral they were looking for? And there were, I think it were five, maybe five people that raised their hand. And I thought, okay, and it's exactly because of what you just said.
The
Yeah.
people who really asked for what they
Mm-hmm.
wanted,
We're
and people were like,
specific.
mhm.
Yeah.
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 And it's not easy for everybody. I can't always say I want to meet every author, right? I can't do that because also I don't want to meet every author because then they're going to feel like I'm trying to sell them. Like I would
Mm-hmm.
love to make relationships with everybody that I can, but I
Right.
also want for people to send me the authors, and I'm like, well, I just, am trying to find authors to do social media for.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's like when you know someone with this exact problem, you need to send them to me. That is really, really
Yeah,
helpful.
that's good. Sometimes I'll pose a question like this morning. My question was, what do you think the number one thing that businesses struggle with the most? And the answer is staffing, employing issues, And one of the things that I do is like team development and stuff. And so it really helped, hey, what is this one thing? And it made people stop and think. Now, who do you know that you've talked to that is having staffing issues,
Hmm.
type of thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. You're totally right. Unless it's specific, it just is kind of like,
Yep. But especially for a coach, right? Like you have to tell them the exact person that you work with
mm-hmm,
and the exact problem that you solve, right?
yeah, yeah,
That's huge.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right. As we wrap this up, we already talked about someone that inspired you. That was Mike Bitter. I'm going to look him up because I feel like I met him, but I don't really remember.
If not, I think that you guys should meet. I can send
Yeah,
an
that'd be great.
email to introduce you because both of you are people who everyone should meet. So I think that you would like each other very much.
Hey, you know what? You just said that, and I just want to shout this out to people. Um, just because someone won't buy from you doesn't mean that they're not a good referral.
Yes.
Um, and what I mean by that is just like, like I'm not right now buying from Mandy. Hopefully someday I will be, but I'm not buying from Mandy right now, but I can absolutely send people to her.
Mhm.
A referral doesn't have to be where you've made money off of that person. It could be just a great partner, whether you're learning from them, they're learning from you. Like a lot of times people think referrals just, I'm going to be able to get a job from someone or, get a service from someone or a product or whatever. But I think it goes beyond that. What do you think?
I completely agree. I I know that there are people who you're supposed to meet, but then there are people who are just connections, right? Where you
Mm-hmm.
connect people to them, they can connect people to you. And if you do business at some point, fantastic, right? That's great. But that is, I mean, I'd say that I network with 300 people, you know what I mean? And I've done business with 20 of them, right? But most of them just send me business, right? And I
Hmm.
send them business, or I teach them something. I like to teach people within networking something. Um, so we all give and take a little bit, but we don't have to buy from everybody, you know? We don't
Yeah.
have to, it'd be impossible. I don't need everything that they have, nor do I have the money to buy from every single person that I run into.
Hmm.
But, as long as they give me enough information, I can definitely send them people.
Yeah, that's great. Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and just share insights and just a wealth of information about marketing. I think it's probably one of the biggest struggles that business owners have outside of if outside of staffing issues because they don't know what to do. Like I know when I started, like I started reading books. I started like I've got to learn this. Like I've got to figure this out.
Yeah,
Um, so thank you so much for sharing those
absolutely.
insights.
I really appreciate you having me here. It's always fun to talk about and to chat with
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us how people can contact you, follow you. Because I know like on LinkedIn, you share videos of Canva tips and I love them. I watch them and I'm like, that's so fun.
Yes. Yes. So that is the number one reason why people follow me on social media is for the Canva tips. That if you're trying to learn Canva, you will find that. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Essential Marketing Group, um, TikTok at Marketing Mandy, and then Mandy Morville on LinkedIn. And you can find a lot of the same stuff on most of those. And then my email is mandy.morville at essentialmarketinggroup.com. And yeah, but yeah, the social media, that's where it's at. I
Yeah.
would love to connect with anyone and everyone and follow you back and see if we can help each other.
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much. I'm going to be posting Mandy's information in the comments. No, not the comments. Whatever. I'm going to be
Yeah.
posting it. You're going to find it. And you could, and I really highly recommend that you connect with her if you're a business owner. And if you're not, like you still should connect with her. She's a great person and she's always such a joy to just sit and chat with. So, but don't waste your time.
Yeah, we're all
Thank you
busy, huh?
so, yeah,
Thank
I
you.
know. Thank you so much.